Pandemonium Humanitas is the eighth full-length album from Keitzer. This is a German death grind band who began as more of a kind of a grindcore type thing, something closer to Nasum back in the day, who eventually evolved into something that was closer to death grind, and now they lean a little bit more towards the death metal side of things. Now, I would say there's a little bit of bolt thrower in a lot of their work, both the grinding side and the death metal side. There's certainly always been a lot of Nasum in it, but over the last few years, their sound has been closer to late 90s, early 2000s death metal with a little bit of a technical edge to it. And the death grind side of their sound isn't gone, but it sounds more in charge of itself in a brutal sort of way. So if you're a fan of Polish death metal of that era as well, you find there's both a rigidity up to it, but also a crazed side to it. So we could look through a lot of their past discography for a little bit of precedence, but they've lost a lot of that punkish grindcore energy and moved towards more of a death metal sound over the course of their last 3 or 4 records. So a lot of my thoughts on the 2019 record, Where the Light Ends, still apply here. There is a little bit of a technical edge. There is a very sharp production value. They are writing songs that are based around different types of riffs, quite a lot of not so theatrical variation on types of songs, but all of them are very brutal, abrupt, and delivered with a lot of energy. And I think that's owed to a lot of the drummers' performances, but also just wanting to push the envelope in terms of speed, precision, and aggression. And so we'll get a sense of kind of the pocket that this album finds and kind of sticks with throughout with this preview song, and then we'll kind of get back to like, what is this record all about and where does it go? When I'm reviewing a band and their discography kind of goes from an early Nasum kind of sound all the way up to sounding a bit like Nile, there's a kind of a funny disconnect for my brain until they start hitting songs like In Darkness You Feel No Regrets, which certainly has a little bit of a bolt thrower riff and a bigger groove in it. And then you start to notice that there are big classic death metal grooves all over this record. It seems like they're kind of trying to go for a classic sound, but then the speed that they command this record with kind of kicks it up to that late 90s or early 2000s death metal sound. And I know that's kind of a strange way to pigeonhole a record from 2024, but really they've reached that point while also incorporating a little bit of blackened death metal into it too. There are some kind of blackened riffs in there to where, like, if you're a fan of Lecherous Nocturne, you might actually like some of the riffs on this record. Even though some of them are a little bit more blunt and less technical, there's still that feeling of that fiery, aggressive side to it that really kind of goes off on this record as you pursue the riffs on it. That was kind of what entertained me about this record, is that there were riffs in every song. They were kind of finding that pocket, that groove in most songs, whether they were going fast or slowing down. This was an entertaining death metal record at the end of the day. And I don't think their grindcore past really factors in as often, but they do keep the speed and the abruptness of it to where it would still entertain a fan of their first album, albeit in a very different style. For me, this was a pretty straightforward and simple thing to enjoy. I mean, of course, the album art is fantastic. The production values are very strong. I think everything that was great about the last record is still great about this record. They've really just iterated in with a little bit more variation, a little bit stronger guitar tone for my taste, and overall, just another solid record from Keitzer. So no real complaints, but also no like crazy praise either. It's just a solid record that I think most people will enjoy if you like any of the things I've talked about here. So check it out for yourself. It releases this Friday on September 27th. And check out my review for more of my thoughts on the record and kind of the career of the band as well.